Do you enjoy going toe-to-toe with deadly bosses whose sole purpose is to tear you apart? Or a Monster Hunter-like progression with in-depth character building, a large amount of customization, topped with very addicting gameplay and satisfying combat? Well, good, because today we're going to cover a game that has all this and more. Keep in mind this is more of a first impressions than anything else, but that being said, I've played about 10 hours of the game, so I feel confident when it comes to my opinions in this video. Now let's not waste any more of your time. This is Dauntless. Let's start with the basics. Dauntless is a free-to-play game, a multiplayer action title that is available for PS4, Xbox One, and in the Epic Store. It has crossplay, so you can play with your friends no matter the platform. That's always great. It's also in development for Nintendo Switch, and they're planning a mobile release too at some point. I know some may be wondering how the solo experience is, and yes, you could play solo through private rooms, but it has to be online. You cannot play this game offline. But jumping into a multiplayer match isn't a hindrance to your overall experience, not really. I'm one of those who sometimes just likes to chill out and not really have to worry about interacting with other players to fully enjoy the game I'm playing, and luckily it's fairly easy to do here, especially since they've added text chat. So if you don't have your mic on and still want to communicate to others, it's very easy to do so. But again, there really isn't a dire need to be in communication, at least not in the early game. Now, late game there could be some communication you need to have, but again, use text chat if you don't really want to go ahead and mess with your mic. I've yet to experience late game, so I can't really give my opinions on this though. Now, most matches I've played, no one really talked to each other, so if you're worried about it, just jump in and give it a try. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now, you start off the game by creating your own character, and the character customization is actually well done. I would have of course liked to see more hairstyles. They only have about 6, that's a little disappointing, but you can still take the time to create the character you want, so that's the only gripe I have with the character creation. The story here is sorta basic, but it's there and it does make sense. I actually like some of the NPC characters, honestly. Most of them have a small little backstory, as well as world lore they'll give you every once in a while. But if you're looking for a deep storytelling experience, you're not gonna find it here, and that's not a bad thing. This game isn't about the story, it's about the meaningful progression, the fun gameplay, and the crazy boss design, which we will talk about all that in a moment. First, I want to discuss one of the things I believe makes this game stand out, and that's the art style. This might be my favorite aspect of the game so far. I guess you can say it looks similar to Fortnite, but that wouldn't be doing it justice. The character models, the weapon, the armor pieces, the equipment, everything has a unique design. The armor, for instance, is all based on the many bosses in the game, which is actually how you acquire most of your gear in Dauntless. You take down these specific bosses, of which we actually call behemoths. Just like in Monster Hunter, when you hit a behemoth's body part, you could break it off and use it to craft the many weapons and armor types in the game, but comparing it to Monster Hunter isn't really that fair either. I actually prefer the boss design here. Here's one example of how uniquely designed these bosses are. I'm not going to spoil much about the behemoths, so don't worry about that. I'm just going to show you this one. This is my friend Scrov. I'm pretty sure I'm getting his name wrong. Now, as you can see, he's kind of designed after an owl, and he can chunk these big tornadoes at you among other attacks. This is just one example of the many bosses in the game and how cool they actually are. There is a varied amount of these behemoths, each one having multiple types within it. For example, there can be a lesser form of a beast, a normal form, as well as more that I have not discovered yet. This means every boss has multiple archetypes, expanding their attack patterns and their powerful forms. Now, I'll go more detail in later videos, of course, but I want to move on. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the environments are well done, though admittedly it's fairly empty. These are meant to be more arenas than open world explorable areas, though you can explore around to collect useful ingredients for crafting. But besides hunting the behemoths and that's really all there is to do in these areas. This isn't a big deal though. Exploring isn't the point in this game. The real fun lies in the combat. As of now, there are 6 different weapon types that you can use. They have axes, swords, chain blades, hammers, repeaters, and war pikes. I won't go in depth on all these here since half the fun is kind of discovering what they do on your own. Again, I'll have a guide covering all this if you do want to know about it. Now, combat is a little more complicated than just button mashing. You have certain combos for every weapon. Now, you can check this under your main menu on the moves list, and it's kind of like Mortal Kombat type of combos, not that deep obviously, like you hit square, square, triangle, triangle, things along that line. Now, you can check these, like I said, on your main menu, and I really advise doing this before rushing into battle so you can just kind of get a grasp of what that weapon does, or you could just run in there and figure it out as you go if you prefer. Now, this adds a little more depth to the combat, but there's more tools at your disposal than just weapons. To start, you have a lantern type of item that hangs off your belt. This will provide you with all kinds of different active abilities depending on which one you have equipped. There's two functions to this actually. Now I'm not sure what the controls are on PC, but if you hit L1 on consoles to activate the lantern, you will actually use its base ability. If you hold it down, you'll use the secondary ability, both of which you can check in the item description. Now one of my favorites to use is Skarn's Defiance. The primary ability actually grants you a 250 point damage shield. The secondary surrounds you in a swirling stone storm that deals 900 terra damage, which is one of the elements in the game. It's basically earth damage. Now besides the lantern, you can craft several grenade type of items that you can take into combat with you, as well as other consumable items that will help you in many ways, though you are limited on how many you can take with you each match. As you can tell, there's some actual strategy to be had in Dauntless. Now the behemoths in the game are actually hard to take down. Well, some of them. You'll need to study their attack patterns if you want to be successful in combat, and it's fairly easy to do. Don't get discouraged if you die your first few times. Just keep at it, you'll get used to the combat. A little tip, if you're actually having a hard time targeting the boss, just go ahead and hit the left analog stick. This is going to turn you in the same direction that the enemy is facing. This takes a little bit to get used to, but it's much easier than having to turn around to look at them all the time manually. Speaking of, that's one little nitpick I have with the game. I really wish they had a lock-on system, kind of like in Dark Souls. That would have made things a little bit easier. But again, this is more similar to Monster Hunter, and Monster Hunter didn't really have a lock-on system either. Now, if you are having a hard time taking on a certain boss, don't forget you can upgrade your armor and weapons. Now, you can do this in the main city of the game, which is where you'll be started, so you don't need to worry about how to find it or anything like that. Now, all you need to do is go ahead and go talk to the armor or weaponsmith and select what you want to upgrade, but you have to have the materials, of course. Now, you can also mod your gear with what you call cells. It's fairly easy to do, and the game will explain it pretty well. These do a lot of things. It can vary from increasing your health to your damage to your armor to increasing your run speed when you don't have a weapon equipped, and many more. There's a lot to choose from, and it allows for creative character builds. Now, you can get these cells from an item called core, and you gotta break these core at a core breaking system, which is also located in the main city. And you can actually earn these through completing quests and challenges, as well as through the hunt pass. And the hunt pass is actually similar to Fortnite Season Pass. Now, you'll be able to earn cosmetics and other useful items through this hunt pass, but you have to pay for it. There is a free version that actually gives you some items, but it's not as rewarding as I would think, but it's better than nothing. Now, this isn't a bad thing. It is a free-to-play title, so it's to be expected, which will actually bring us to our next topic, the microtransactions. This being a free-to-play game, it goes without saying that there will be microtransactions, but depending on how it's done, it can break the game, and luckily, it's not bad in Dauntless, not at all. Now, you can buy cosmetic and consumable items through the in-game store using a premium currency, of course, but it's honestly done in a way where it's not that big of a nuisance. Now, there are certain items that will give you buffs that you can pay for, but really, it's not a pay-to-win title. You can speed things up, of course, if you don't have the time, but you don't have to pay to progress, which is always nice. Now, customization is also a big part of what makes this game so good. There's certain dyes that you can actually buy to color your armor pieces, though all of these besides one you have to pay for. You can actually get one of them for free if you go into the store right now, but that could change at a later date. Dyes really aren't the only way to customize your gear though. If you have an armor piece that you really like the look of, but the one you're wearing, the one that you have equipped is better suited for you, you can easily change the appearance into the one that you like more by transmogging it. This is a nice system, though it does cost a currency I'm not sure how to get yet. And remember, this will only affect it cosmetically. None of the stats or anything like that will be carried over, and you can only use it with armor pieces you already have. Progression is what really drives these type of games forward, and it's what really keeps you playing, and it's done right. In Dauntless, one of the main progression mechanics is the mastery system. As you use a certain type of weapon, you will increase the mastery with it, and every level you will get rewards. Now you can get cores, you can get titles, and you can get other items as well. And this works with the behemoths in the game as well. They all have their separate mastery system. Every monster has its own mastery, so as you kill a certain monster, you will get better, and you will get better at killing that monster, and you'll gain certain buffs too. It's kind of cool. I actually like how this is done. Now, leveling up your mastery will increase your Slayer level as well, and you'll go ahead and gain various rewards from doing so. Just like the mastery system, you'll gain health buffs, stamina buffs, different perks and titles, and just all kinds of different items. And it goes up to level 50 on all the mastery systems. That is the max level as of now. This game does have a lot going for it, and the developers aim to add content like new weapon types and new behemoths on a pretty consistent basis. So do I recommend this game? Is it worth your time? In my opinion, yes, it is for sure, especially with it being a free-to-play title. There's really not much to lose. I will be making a guild, so if you guys want to join up and occasionally be used in my videos, be sure to let me know. I will have guides, tips, and build videos if desired, as well as my normal content covering new games in the upcoming E3 event, which I'm very excited for. Now, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about the game in the comments below. I apologize for my poor commentary during this one. I just didn't feel myself during this video, but I got it done. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Have a great day.
I got broads in Atlanta, just to lean the family, credit cards and the scammers.